get to know your counselor, because if your student does Common App, every counselor has to write a letter of recommendation for the student. Again, it should be a teacher in your academic subject. If a school asks for 2 or you want to put in 3, I only say it's okay after you get the academic teacher. So let's say you get 1 math, 1 science, and then maybe you were an Eagle Scout. Maybe you were in DECA for 4 years straight. You can get the sponsor of that. And then if you had to do a 4th letter, I would say make it your employer. Make it someone who knows that you show up to work on time, that you're courteous, that you're clean, things like that. So if you were to have 2 or more letters, make sure it's not for academic teachers, because that would be repetitive. You want to give teachers 2 weeks, because they're getting slammed right now with letters of recommendations. I've read many a letter recommendation. I can tell a generic one from a great personalized one. So if I can tell, they can tell too. So the best way to not get a generic one is to not rush up and say, can I have it tomorrow? It's just courtesy. When you guys apply for scholarships, which I know that'll be your next hot button topic, you can use all those letters in your scholarships. So admission essay. More often than none, I'm going to tell a Norristown area high school to write a personal statement. So am I asking you to do more work? I am. As I review transcripts, I notice a lot of gaps in GPAs. I notice kids who go from a 4.0 to a 2.0. That's a huge gap. If you do not explain to the admissions officer why you have that huge gap, they're going to think you're lazy. They're going to think like, oh, you're a teenager, you blew off school when life started to get hard. And then they're going to assume that you'll do the same thing when you get to their college. The reason why colleges are so strict for the freshman applicant is because they're so afraid of you dropping out. When you get to college, there's so much freedom. Attendance doesn't call home, teachers don't take roll. No one cares if you don't show up. If you go to Penn State and there's 300 people in a class, you think your teacher noticed that you didn't show up? So that accountability really falls on you. So they need to know that you have a solid 4-year record at your high school so that when you leave mom and dad and you're exposed to, all the things that college exposes you to, that you can still roll out of bed and make it to class. So that's why they're so strict on the freshman student, because they're so afraid of you failing out and ruining their retention rate status. But if you go to Montco for 2 years, magically all you need is like a 2.0 and you can go. But when you were a high school senior, you needed a 4.0. I mean, it drops off that dramatically. So you want to write a personal essay. When I was a sophomore, my mom was really ill and I made bad choices. I hung out with bad friends, but then I got my act together. I started to, so although my GPA doesn't reflect it, if you look at my transcript, you'll notice that I started getting B's again when I was failing freshman year. So colleges will forgive a bad freshman year. They might even forgive a bad sophomore year. They're not going to forgive junior year, and they're not going to forgive a lazy senior year schedule. Colleges want to know who the students are. The colleges that take letters of recommendations, they swear to me up and down that they read every single piece of information that you send, because their theory is if you put in the hard work, we will read it. So I do advise you to write a personal statement in addition to any essays they make you write, and they will make you write essays. And if you apply to a state college, it says optional essay. Okay, that's a lie. There's no such thing as optional. So if this is your one and only shot to impress Westchester and it said optional, why would you not write the essay? It's kind of a tricky catch-22 there. They want to know what sets you apart. They want to know what inspires you, things like that. Please have a proofread, please have a proofread, please have a proofread. Please don't write like you're texting. Because they're noticing, St. Joe's was here yesterday. She said she's noticing that a lot more college applications are now text message words. That's embarrassing. She said a lot, she's been noticing that. So it makes sense. We're texting somebody, see you later, and you're writing. So obviously we have talented students, so you might be asked to audition or put together a portfolio, and that will carry a lot of weight in your college admissions process. Okay, the Common App. This is a website, and I hung it up here. What is Common App? I know you've heard of it. Common App is an organization that was put together that is a membership, and at the moment, there's 550 schools that participate in Common App. So it's commonapp.org. All you have to do is go. What is Common App? If your child is applying to Montco and all state colleges, don't even bother doing Common App. Common App all believes in the holistic view of the student. So what they're saying is, we will look at your grades, we will look at your SATs, but we want to look at the whole you. So we want to read your letters of recommendations. We're going to read your essays and your prompts and things like that. We will look at the whole you. So 550 schools have made the commitment to do so and join an organization called commonapp.org. So I say to kids, okay, you're looking through your college list. I want to go to Drexel, University of Delaware, Temple, and Birmingham. And I noticed that they're all on this list. So instead of me going to temple.edu, birmingham.edu, drexel.edu, how about I just do one gigantic application called commonapp.org, and then I just do an additional supplementary essay for each, and then I'm done. So that's what Common App is. So your son or daughter may never have to do a profile, but check the list out. So the state schools are not on here. Penn State is not on here. So 550 have participated thus far. It's a lengthy thing. I mean, it's not going to take 5 seconds, but again, the goal is you could send it to 10 schools in one package. So it's a lengthy thing. Ask your student to research the schools first before they do a Common App profile. All right. Application fee. We are a very generous school here. If you're on the free and reduced lunch list, I could give you 2 free SATs, 2 free ACTs, and 2 free SAT subject-based tests. If you're on the free and reduced lunch list here, I could give you 4 college fee waivers to pay for applications through College Board, another 4 through NAHS. That's 8 college applications right there. And if you need more, we could write you a letterhead if need be. Because each application is about 30 to 60 bucks. If you visit the school, they usually give you a free application. If you go to york.edu, and York is on here, York is free online. So you might as well do the York application that way and get it free online. So these are just little tricks of the trade to help you save money. So if you go visit their school, they usually give you a waiver. Sometimes the reps here give you a waiver. All right, tips and strategies. There are 16 marking periods in the life of your high school career, but only 12 marking periods get recalculated for admissibility. So 16 marking periods in the life of your Norristown career, 12 get recalculated. Where'd the other 4 go? So you are frozen at the end of junior year because we do not recalculate GPA based on marking period. We will recalculate it when you graduate. So that means in order to impress the college, you should end junior year strong, pick a rigorous senior year schedule, and then make the determination, when do I send the app? Do I send it early where they don't see first marking period, but I have a rigorous senior year schedule and enough of a GPA that they can make a decision? That's one path. Or the other path is, I know my GPA is not going to be recalculated again, but I'm going to try to get straight A's for first marking period and ask my counselor to upload my report card, and they can see that I am still getting straight A's even though it's not recalculated. So that's another path. So marking period 1 ends about November 6th. Grades will be cleaned up by mid-November, so let's get that application out the door by Thanksgiving, and you're still in the early pile. And by then, I believe technology is so great. So SATs are November the 8th. Your student will get a score 19 days after November the 8th, and when they log to collegeboard.com, they also get a link for 4 college waivers if they're on the free and reduced list. So everything is pretty fast these days. Okay, keep in mind Facebook. They can check Facebook. I know that when I was interviewing for this job here, I didn't have to worry about anybody looking at my Facebook account because I didn't have one. So that wasn't an issue. So just make sure that it's professional. Create a new email account. Every single school is going to ask you to create a portal. Common App's going to ask you to create a username. Just create one that's just for college. That's a true story, by the way. And we're going to use Naviance as your primary research tool. And I am going to do a tutorial. I would like you to apply. I would say, since applications are so easy nowadays, no lie, if you apply to one PASHE school, what did she just say? A PASHE school. It's a Pennsylvania higher education system. 14 state colleges participate in the PASHE system. If you apply to Westchester, let's say it takes you 15 minutes online, your core information is saved. So if you remember your username and password and you apply to Bloomsburg, it'll take you 3 minutes because your core information has already been saved. So same thing with Common App. You have your core information saved. So applications are actually so easy these days. It's not uncommon for kids to apply to 20. Please don't apply to 20. That just tells me you don't know what you want to become. I would say 4 to 10. Why did I say 10? Because when you fill out financial aid, they let you fill up to 10 schools. So then if you put, so I want your students to apply to 2 or 3 REACH schools. They are schools above your son or daughter's GPA. Then I'd like your son or daughter to apply to SAFE schools. They're schools in your son or daughter's GPA because they've been researching it. And then always maybe put Monco in there or schools below your GPA. I also want your son or daughter to apply to the $50,000 school, the $20,000 school, and the $5,000 school because I don't know what your financial aid packet is. The students here actually get pretty amazing financial aid packets. So last year, kids will come and say, read my package. And I'm reading and I'm like, oh my God, you're getting $25,000 in grants and loans. But the problem is the kid applied to all schools that were $45,000. So I would like you to apply to, let's say, 6 or 10 schools, 2 or 3 REACH, 2 or 3 SAFE, 2 or 3 below, and 2 or 3 in the 50 range, 2 or 3 in the $25,000 range, and then some below, so that you have options. So in the FAFSA application, you have 10 slots to put schools. They reach out to the individual colleges and creates a financial aid package for you. So I say 10 is a good number, and if you heard what I said, it's so easy to apply these days. It's about having options. Your heart and soul might be into going to Widener, and maybe you got $20,000 from them, but it's a $45,000 school. Where are you going to get the other $25,000? So if you had a school that was $25,000 already in your pool of options, then you have options and you know you can afford. Sure, in a perfect world, we all want to go to school of our dreams, but sometimes you go to schools that you can afford. It just is what it is. So at the end of the day, it's the degree that counts that's going to get you to that next level. Okay, we're going to do a quick tutorial. We would like all applications out the door by December 1st. Why? Early bird gets the worm theory, rolling admission, all the things that we've been talking about. I'm not saying that your son or daughter can't apply in January. What I am saying is get the bulk of their A quality schools out the door by December 1st. A lot of times kids come back and go, oh, Arcadia gave me a free fee waiver, so I played. Okay, that's fine. But you got the bulk of the applications out the door by December 1st. And then you have your little filler schools after, and that's fine. All right. This is not a financial aid conversation. However, I do have financial aid information. December 11th is financial aid night, so I'll put out the marketing of that. So on December 11th, I will invite the guy from FIA, Pennsylvania Higher Education Agency, to come and talk about all things financial aid, grants, scholarships, Stafford loans, the difference between this and that. So that's December 11th here in the auditorium. And on February the 5th, it's FAFSA Help Night, where you physically can come in the evening with your W-2s, and we will help you fill out the FAFSA. So just a couple dates to keep in mind. Let's do a quick Naviance tutorial so that I can finish up by 7:30. So the best way to get to me is definitely email. Much faster than phone calls, so my email is the same as everybody else's, first name followed by last and all that. And it's in the packet, and I have my own little website on the thing. So let's go do Naviance. If your son or daughter does not know how to go on Naviance, I'm going to show you real quick. Where's the opening page? All right, go to the external website. Go to Norristown Area High School. I'm going to make this a little smaller. Go to the college tab, that makes sense. This is my page, that's my office, my email address is on there, somewhere down there. Naviance, log in. I wish it wasn't so many steps, but the steps are logical. Username is your son or daughter's 6-digit ID. So no numerical, 6-digit, 213654, whatever. And the password is how they got into the computer system at school. So I'm actually going to go in the counselor way, but that's how your son or daughter would go in. Let me go in the counselor way. Okay, so I'm in the counselor way. So I made up my own account, and I pretended I had a 3.0 GPA. And I did very well on my SATs. No, just kidding. Okay, so the counselor way. I'm going to be the student. So I'm at home. I'm looking up Naviance. Oh, no, it's just going to come up. Okay, so let's keep that. Okay, so when your son or daughter logs in, this is what it looks like. Can I make that bigger? No? Okay. This is a $3,000 Prep Me program that I loaded on last year. It's a SAT and ACT prep program that I loaded on. So my goal is to say that you don't need some fancy $1,000 tutor to do well in the SAT or ACTs. There are other ways that are cheap and for free, and here's one of the ways. Your son or daughter also should log on and look at all the upcoming colleges. So today, Widener came, automotive training came, East Stroudsburg's coming tomorrow, Westchester's coming Monday. The person that does these presentations is usually the person reading your son or daughter's application, so you can't get any closer than that on trying to figure out if you can get into that school. So I always advise the students to check this list and then put sign up, and magically a pass will show up in their first period class. So I really try to get the scope of colleges, everything from 2-year Harcum all the way up to University of Penn, which they did come. My goal is to have 50 colleges, trade school, Air Force by December. So right now I have 40 booked, and I just secured Penn State Abington today, and I will secure Bloomsburg, Millersville, and Temple soon. They're on the road, so they're not always available to call back right away. So please look at this list periodically. It's live data, and anytime I put a school in, your son or daughter is free to sign up and learn everything they possibly could learn about the school, and maybe get a fee waiver. So under the colleges tab, Nicole, I know how to look up a student's GPA from the counselor way. Where are they finding their GPA from the student way? Just for some parents that don't know where their I know it's on eSchool. So if you pull up your son's transcript on eSchool, the GPA is there. Right, like I know how to do it from like the counselor way, but this on home access of eSchool. Okay, so what's great about Naviance? Your son or daughter could take a personality test. So if he says, I want to be a fireman one day and a rocket scientist the next, perhaps you should take a personality test. It will give you 20 or 30 it's 20 or 30 minutes, but it's actually really good questions. It's not like, I like danger. No, it's like actual scenarios that your son or daughter would read and think about and then pick the answer, and then at the end of it, it will compile his personality and list jobs and careers in line with his personality, and then the colleges that has that job or career. So it's like Google times 10. So that's one thing he or she could do. There's also a resume builder, so not resume, resume. So a resume builder is a fancy way of making a one-page brag sheet all about your son or daughter's wonderful achievements. Scattergram, okay. So this is a fancy resume builder that your son or daughter could do. Again, all free, anywhere that you have internet access. It doesn't even have to be in school. There's a mobile app. So if you put down, I'm interested in your college, and I book your college, I hit update and tell students, and then you get an email notification that your college is coming. So there's a mobile app. If he or she would like to research careers, they can research careers in career clusters, explore careers, and then of course find schools that has careers. And then the most important button, the college button. If your son or daughter is applying to schools, he or she must put colleges I'm applying to. That way, their counselor will know to start assembling the school's information. Your son or daughter could be completely independent and say, I'm going to do this all by myself. Apply online, pay, they don't need your help, and then they mail it off, and they don't hear an answer. That's because the other 50% comes from us. The transcript, the school profile, the letters of recommendations, the whatever. So you do 50% of the applications, you let your counselor know where you applied, he or she will assemble the electronic portion of your application, and then you're stamped complete, and now they will look at your file. So under the college tab, you could do a college search. You could say, find me a 4-year, all-girls, Jesuit, HBCU college, doesn't really exist, but So it'll find you that. So under the college button, let's say you sat there and said, man, I wish there was a website out there that knew my GPA, knew my SAT, knew my PSAT, knew my ACT, and could match me up with colleges. Oh yeah, that's called the college match button. How does Naviance know my GPA? Because we uploaded it on there. That's how they know. So you scroll down, and here are schools within my GPA range. Oh, great, I heard of East Stroudsburg. Oh, Newman, okay, Robert Morris. Oh, Temple's on there, excellent. I always wanted to go to Temple. Let's go look up Temple. You go to the Temple tab. So here's my favorite part. So statistically, the 2012-2013 year, Temple took kids in the average of a 3.82. Oh, I only have a 3.0. Should I apply to Temple? Would it be my reach school or my safety school? Your reach. So yes, apply to Temple, apply early, apply early action. Do all the things that you can to make you more admissible. Oh great, I sort of have their SAT. Oh, let me find out more about Temple. Let me look at their student life. I hope they have a jazz club or I'm not going. So here's all things Temple has to offer. Then you could go, oh, let me look at their majors and degrees, because what's the point of doing this? Oh, they do have accounting. That's excellent. I wanted to be an accountant, and Temple has accounting. That's good to know. Admissions. So last year, 18,731 kids applied. 12,593 got accepted. That is a 67 percentile rate of acceptance. Is that a good percentage? I would say yes, but keep in mind, with the age of the internet, College Board, Google, and Naviance, you'd have to believe that these 18,000 people did a little bit of research like you did to be put in that 67%. I can't imagine a kid with a 1.2 is applying to Temple when it's shooting at a 3.8. So what is the purpose of doing this whole college application process if you don't do the research first? So that's that. And then the financial aid piece. I told you that Penn State, Temple, Lincoln, University of Pittsburgh is a state-related school. So they get partial funding from the state. So if Westchester is $9,500, then Temple and all that good stuff is about $16,000. So that $13,000 price tag usually doesn't include books, but it's about $16,000 if you live at home. So that's still a good deal. That's a very good deal. Plus, no one ever pays the sticker price. Okay, so Temple's $26,000. Everybody gets an opening scholarship. I call it an opening scholarship, where they'll say, based on your academic ability, we're going to give you $3,000 a year times 4, that's $12,000. A school like Widener can give you $20,000 a year because they are $45,000. So you got to look at the numbers and the statistics and base it off of not so much the number, but what are you relating it to. So you're researching Temple, you're like, oh, that sounds really good. I'm going to apply to Temple. So Temple has Temple EDU, and it's on Common App. So you're like, what should I do? What should I do? I would make your son or daughter research some more schools, and if they're finding that Temple and a couple others is on this list, then do this list. Questions that I can answer. Questions that I can answer. Yes. Yes. It's Prep Me. That's it. And then when you go on Prep Me, there's an ACT Prep and an SAT Prep that I loaded on there, completely free for your son or daughter. Plus, I gave you websites in your packet and a mobile app and the top 66 words. So I'm the firm belief that you don't need a private tutor to do well on those standardized tests. Any other questions? When Mr. Palladino is doing his NC Clearinghouse, Ms. Mitchell and I can be over in the corner answering any college questions, but out of respect for time, Mr. Palladino is highly, what's the word I'm looking for? Knowledgeable. He and I actually worked at Phoenixville, so we've known each other for a long time. So Mr. Palladino is new to Norristown and is extremely knowledgeable. So I'll be over there with Ms. Mitchell for any questions you may have about college. Thank you so much for coming out. Eat some more food, please. I'm not taking anything home with me.